Hey, what's going on, everybody? So, pulled Max down here so I can kind of talk a little bit about those other components that I was talking about in the first video that had to do with some of the incompatibilities between the original KM chassis, original KM components and whatnot, to some of these aftermarket parts that I put on there. And one of the major issues that I ran into was when I replaced the brakes on the brakes center diff or center spool housing here, support, whatever you want to call it. The brake cams, which are these parts here, and they look like it's kind of hard to see. There we go. Part number B3230. Those parts, right? Okay, so the KM parts had a different machined or cast portion of it on it that basically one side, I'm not really sure which one it was, but one of these was completely different than the other. Well, they were obviously different. When I went to put it back together, I was getting too much pressure. I couldn't rotate the assembly. In the factory setup, it would work fine, but mind you, these components are made for a Losi 5. Losi parts, not KM parts. And they base all of their design specs off of Losi parts. That's why aftermarket parts, they said they're made for the Losi 5 and not, in some respects, sometimes not for the KM chassis. And the reason being is that I found is some of the critical components, such as your, and like in the previous video, the diff pinions were of different tolerance than the Losi stuff. So the brake cams here wouldn't fit in this modified RC center diff housing or the center diff mount. So what I ended up doing was just buying replacement Losi parts. And you want to know what? They fit. They worked. So for all of those people that say, oh, the KM parts are identical, I beg to differ. They are not. They are not identical. Now, in some respects, some of the parts are. They work fine. Mounting holes, chassis plates, things like that, I don't have a problem with. They mounted up just fine. However, there are some components that didn't. And I found that the brake cams, front and rear diff pinions, they were not the same spec as the Losi parts. Flat out, they weren't. They might have changed things since then. I think mine was maybe a little bit older chassis. I don't know. But the one things I do know is that the parts I'm talking about did not fit. Everything else fit. I have yet to drill out anything. Everything that I talk about, they mount up. So anyway, I wanted to point those two things out. If you go to replace those, make sure you go back with Losi stuff. You'll have less headaches in the long run. So anyway, buddy, have an awesome day, awesome weekend, and get out and run them. Later. Peace.